Hi everyone, it's Kristen. So we already did the what if Galactus transformed Gambit and Rogue one, and so I got this one finally. And like I said, I got it because of course it has all the characters on the cover, but I got it specifically because it has, like I said, Rogue on the cover. I mean, I didn't, it's not that I thought she was in here, but of course I just thought it was interesting that she appeared on the cover of Spider-Gwen's. And this is a variant edition, so they probably just chose like, hey, I'm just going to put all of them on there because I want to. So there you go. So we open with, Spider Gwen having like a monologue. She's, says she's been called many names. Spider Woman, Spider Gwen, Ghost Spider. She's just, somewhere in the multiverse, and she says she goes where trouble is and tries to help. So she definitely found trouble because there's Galactus and Stardust, his herald, which she was like from 2006. I mean, she's not like a super well known character or anything. She doesn't appear in like a bunch of issues, but it's interesting that they chose to put her in here. Maybe because she's not super well known and doesn't have such an extensive history. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so she's trying to save her planet, and these two other people of her species, the Ethereals, are begging Spider Gwen. Sorry, my finger wasn't going. Begging Spider Gwen to help her because they are the last of their kind, and Spider Gwen doesn't feel right about that. So she says, "Spare the twins and their champion, and I'll become your herald." And Stardust is like, "You don't know what you're doing." And she's like, I'll never be able to live with myself if I just let him, kill you." So basically gives her, cosmic powers. Oh, look, that's fun. I didn't get any of these, but that's cute. I like all the characters that they picked for each one. It's interesting that Donald Duck is Thor, though. But I guess somebody had to be Thor because it's the Avengers. So anyway, sorry. So Spider-Gwen, has become his herald and been his herald for a while. And she's like, this, Stardust was right. It's not easy deciding which planets live and die. Best she can do is try to keep the casualties to a minimum. So she's like going over this planet and she says, this looks promising. And all of a sudden she gets blasted out of the sky by dragons. I feel like this is the planet where Rogue was that she tried to feed to Galactus, but I feel like that's the same planet. But of course, these are different stories. So the planet that exploded in Rogues didn't explode here, but I feel like it's the same planet because there's dragons. So Gwen is, fighting the dragons, and Gwen starts to think, well, maybe Galactus coming, and trying to feed on this world wouldn't be the worst thing. Like, as in, maybe these dragons could, defeat him. And she says, dragons, that's a first. And she's like, well, I think so. So she says she's been doing this so long, she kind of forgot. So there's this band of, I will say, heroes that come to her aid. They think that, she needs their help. But really, of course, they need rescued. Like, they need rescued by Gwen. Um, so Gwen talks to them. They introduce themselves. And Gwen asks, "Are there more of you on this planet?" Like she's trying to, get the details of how many people are on this planet and if this planet is a good candidate for Galactus. And this guy that introduced himself, his name is, ooh, names. I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to try to pronounce their names because I have no idea. This guy, he's like, um, he loves mutton tarts. Like he introduces himself and then talks in the third person saying he loves mutton tarts. I'm like, okay. So he notices, the purple guy notices that Gwen is hurt, and he's like, my brother is a smithy, and he can, hopefully repair your armor or give you some armor to cover that. And he takes her to his cottage, which I think it's cute. It's like a medieval kind of little cottage. And Gwen remarks on his shield and says, "That's a cool shield. Is it yours?" And the purple guy says, "No, my brother made it for a friend of mine. And we grew up together. We wanted to be warriors together." But unfortunately, even though she was noble of heart, she wasn't that great with the sword. So basically saying she wasn't really cut out to be a warrior. But he went and he tried to ferret out a dragon's nest, and she went with him, and she was killed by the dragons, and he feels like it's his fault. And Gwen, she totally understands that because she feels like Peter dying was her fault because Peter just wanted to be special like her, and then his friend just wanted to be like him, a warrior. And Gwen tries to comfort him and says, it wasn't your fault. I hope you know that. And even though, of course, she's still, like, she's telling him this, but a part of her will always blame herself for Peter's death. So she says, my fantasy lore is a little rusty, but is there a wizard around here that we can get help from? And so the wizard is not who I expected at all. So they go to the wizard's house, and they're all scared to knock on the door because apparently the wizard's not very friendly. And so they make Spider-Gwen do it. And so, like I said, this is not who I thought would be the wizard. Um, so when she introduces herself, I'm like, oh, something clicked. Like it's Nina, who was Sorceress Supreme, trained under the Ancient One, and she's from the 1950s, and she was pulled into like the present, I think, by like Merlin to help with some battle. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read that story, but it was like 2016, 15, 14, somewhere in there. But that's who that is. But I mean, she's not like a huge major character. I think she went back to her own time. So she's not like a huge major character. I feel like that storyline, Merlin pulled out a bunch of wizards from different times, bunch of sorcerer supremes, because she was sorcerer supreme in the 1950s to help him defeat the Forgotten One. So, but I feel like she hasn't made much of an appearance since then. I could be wrong though. I mean, it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up with everything. I'm just going to be honest. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't remember that, or I don't know if that's happened in present day because it's hard to keep up with everything. Anyway, I try though. I try. So yeah, Nina. I'm like, oh, the last person I would have expected. She didn't even look like a wizard. And that sort of thing. And she basically has like mystical. She has these firearms that she fires mystical bullets from, which is kind of cool. It's a kind of a different take on having like magic powers, sort of thing. I mean, she does obviously know a lot of spells and stuff, but that's like her weapon of choice, so to speak. So anyway, they're talking. She's like, I'm not going to help you guys. And then Spider-Gwen mentions Galactus, and she's Galactus. Why didn't you just say so? Why didn't you lead with that? So they go with her through the tunnels. She's carrying this potion stuff, and they're like, "What does that do?" She's like, "You'll see. Hopefully it works. I've never tested it before, but I'm hoping it works." So they're like, "Oh, okay. This is like the first time you're testing it. That could be bad." So they go apparently into this dragon's den where there's a bunch of dragons. Nina basically breaks the two potion bottles so they, explode on the ground. And she's like, okay, now run. And they're like, did it work? And she's like, we'll have to wait to see if it worked. Because like I said, I've never tested it. So we'll have to wait and see. So, the purple guy is like, if you're a herald of Galactus, why are you helping us? Like, aren't you, like, don't you have to, do what he says? And she's like, you shared with me, a moment from your past where you lost a friend. And, she's like, I did too. His name was Peter. And I can't ever bring him back. So I try to help others where I can. And, he says, I understand. I try to live by a similar code for his friend's sake. So Nina says, quiet, I hear something. So the dragons come out and say, Sorcerer Supreme, we are ready to obey. So she mind controlled the dragons into obeying her. So basically, they're all getting ready to fight Galactus, and Spider-Gwen said, the purple guy says, so what happens now? Like, what will you do? What will become of you? She's like, I don't know. I try not to think about that, but Galactus won't go down easy. And then you have this page, the splash page, where they're charging at Galactus. And yeah, all of a sudden they have horses, they have, dragons to help them and stuff. So, I mean, yeah. And then we have like the what if covers. So, yeah, that ending, I was like, what? I hate with a passion unopened, like unended, things. Like movies. Okay, you're probably gonna be like, oh my gosh, really? But my mom and I watch a lot of Hallmark movies because she likes Hallmark movies, and the best ones are the ones where they have like 6 months later or a year later, just like a little like catch you up on stuff. Like, hey, this is what happened. Like, yeah, now they're together, they're married, have kids, whatever. I just like those endings because then I know what happened. I don't have all these questions in my mind like, okay, and that's what this did. Like I have lots of questions. Like I have even more questions than the Gambit one. Like with the Gambit one, it ended, and I'm like, okay, wait, but what is he gonna do now? Where is he gonna go now? And this one, I have so many so many questions. Like, okay, did they actually defeat Galactus? Is that even possible? I don't think that's possible. So, like, what happened to Spider-Gwen? Like, she's gonna be punished, I feel like, or chastised or something for defying Galactus. And like, does she really think that she can, you know, and now all of her friends are gonna die, and like the fact that Nina's there and she's Sorcerer Supreme and they have dragons on their side, is that gonna turn the tide? Anyway, okay, this is my least favorite one out of the three because I have so many questions. Like I thought it was cool that they did the whole dragons, like medieval, times, um, warriors, sort of thing, swords, horses. I thought that was cool. I like that because I like those kind of stories. But I have so many questions that I don't like it. I need to know what happened, and we will not know what happened because they left it so open-ended, which I don't like. So, like, yeah, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think actually happened? Do you really honestly think, like, they could have defeated Galactus? I mean, maybe they could have fended him off and he agreed, okay, well, I'm going to spare this planet. I mean, that's happened, a couple times, so it's possible. Um, I just, like I said, I have so many questions. I don't like that. I don't like questions. I don't. So anyway, let me know your theories below. And yeah, like I said, I didn't get the Moon Knight one or the Hulk one, even though now that those would have been cool to read. I probably might still look for them. Maybe I can find them. I don't know. But I definitely wanted to get Gambit and Rogue. And then, of course, this one I just got because it has Gambit and Rogue on the cover along with everybody else. So it wasn't my intention to get the Spider-Gwen one, but they were on the cover, so I did. So anyway, I hope you will join me in the future for more videos. And until next time, bye.